happens when a narcissist realizes they've lost you? The void left behind in your absence? Better yet, what happens when it finally occurs to them that it's entirely their loss? That is what I'm covering today. Hey friends, welcome to my channel. If it's your first time here, my name is Tamie M Joyce. I'm the founder of Tamie M Coaching and the creator of the Freedom class and the Ascension class. Please take a second to say hello and introduce yourself in the comment section below. And of course, don't forget to subscribe and hit that notification bell so you never miss a new video. So let's dive in. What can you expect when a narcissist realizes what they've lost by losing you? Well, as I often say, people with a destructive narcissist personality pattern are nothing if not predictable. The thing is, narcissists always want what they can have. If something is out of reach, anything they're told they can no longer have access to, well, the desire factor is only going to go up for the narcissist. The forbidden fruit effect is a very real thing. And of course, to some degree, it's human nature to want something more when it's off limits or more challenging to get. But because of the gaping hole in the narcissist's soul, people with a destructive narcissist personality pattern take this forbidden fruit effect to a whole other level. Also, narcissists spend a lot of time in fantasy, much more so than the average human. In fact, sometimes to the point of being delusional, in particular in relation to themselves, their own worth, gifts, and talents, which is why they so often show up with a shocking sense of superiority and entitlement. When they realize you're gone for real and for good, and now they have to deal with themselves and the void left behind in your absence, believe me when I tell you, they are going to feel that void in a very big way. And in that void, they not only long for, but can easily become obsessive over the one that got away. The truth is, narcissists don't go after riffraff. You can be sure that if you've been pursued by a destructive narcissist for more than a one-night stand, it's because you have a lot of good going for you. You clearly bring a lot of good stuff to the table of the relationship. You're someone who makes them look good, even if only by osmosis. And that's true of any relationship, by the way, not just romantic. So, with that in mind, when the narcissist is faced with the reality of what they've lost in losing you, you can expect them to begin using hoovering tactics in an attempt to suck you back into the abuse cycle. In fact, you can count on this happening. And if you want to learn more about narcissistic hoovering, and more importantly, how to handle it, what to do about it, you can watch this video here. Being prepared in advance is the thing that is going to save you a whole world of pain, drama, and trauma when the time comes. And here's the thing, there's no time limit on the narcissistic hoover. I've personally experienced a number of hoovering attempts after a decade or more of absolute no contact with various destructive narcissistic individuals from my past. These people can be relentless, even over long periods of time. So when the narcissist attempts to hoover you, remember, this is not a time to be flattered. Believe me when I tell you, they haven't suddenly grown a conscience. The reality is, this has nothing to do with you and everything to do with the narcissist trying to get their own sick needs met through you and at your expense, nothing more. Once they have you back where they want you and the forbidden fruit effect is worn off, you can expect to be served another round of the toxic abuse cycle, which, as you probably know by now, runs in 3 phases. The idealization phase, love bombing, the devalue phase, and then of course the discard, with a whole lot of projection, gaslighting, lying, and deceiving along the way. And naturally, all of this begins with a healthy dose of, like I said, love bombing. Love bombing, otherwise known as the idealization phase, is where we begin the narcissistic abuse cycle, either for the first time or all over again if, for any reason, there's been some time and distance. So be clear, this is what's happening. You're being sucked back in to the toxic abuse cycle where you're being idealized before being devalued and then ultimately being discarded again. That's the cycle you're going to be running. And many of you are already very familiar with the cycle because it's a pattern you've been living in your romantic lives, as well as with friends, family, and at work. It's painful, to say the least. What happens if they can get a toe in the door is suddenly they begin to morph into that person you needed them to begin with. Back when you were being abused, before you went no contact out of sheer self-preservation. Now, all of a sudden, they're on their best behavior and they're doing all the right things and they're saying all the right things, and suddenly, now they know how to apologize. Suddenly, they can show up on time and appear to be decent, kind, and respectful, and show you how much they really care and how very, very sorry they are. In addition, you're probably hearing all kinds of empty promises in the hopes that you'll be naive enough to fall for it again. And the reality is, this is all very temporary. This phase of being on their best behavior will be a very short-lived phase. If the stakes are really high, you might be able to get a few months of consistent good behavior out of them if they're motivated enough. But in no time, that mask is going to start to slip. In no time, you're going to enter the devalue phase where you become the target again. In no time, they're going to be blame shifting and projecting all of their own disowned garbage all over you. So understand that if you've allowed that to happen, if you have not maintained firm, non-negotiable, and unapologetic no contact, while also having gotten into your own healing and recovery work, and they've gotten a foot in the door, and now you're standing there and you're on the receiving end of all of their best efforts to love bomb you, know this: the abuse cycle has just started all over again. And when you realize that it's time to run for the hills again, make no mistake, you will be starting at ground zero. It doesn't get easier over time. In fact, it only gets harder with each relapse on the toxic relationship because our self-esteem takes a bigger hit each time we go in for another round. It becomes more embarrassing, more painful, more expensive, and more traumatic. The very real consequences, emotionally, psychologically, spiritually, physically, and even financially, get worse each time. So think long and hard before you allow yourself to fall for their words and the sudden shift into this whole new person who wasn't able to show up for you before, but suddenly now they're more motivated for whatever reason. Think long and hard before you step back into the ring, because chances are extremely high that there's nothing more but pain and trauma coming your way. It's just a question of time. Now, comment below and let me know whether or not you've had the experience of being hoovered back into the toxic abuse cycle. Let me know in the comment section below. How'd that work out for you? Also, if you'd like to learn more about the possibility of working with me in one of my coaching programs, there's a link in the description below this video where you can apply to see if you qualify for a free one-on-one consultation with either myself or a member of my team. Now, assuming that all attempts to hoover and love bomb you and suck you back in so they can exploit you at your weakest and most vulnerable have failed because you're neither weak nor vulnerable, rather, you've been taking good care of yourself. You've not only established no contact, but you are going to the next level. You're doing your own personal healing and recovery work. All of your time, energy, and attention, your resources are focused on yourself, learning to love yourself, learning to heal yourself, learning how to take excellent care of yourself, learning how to live your best life as your best self. And as a result, you've maintained no contact and all their tactics, games, and strategies have failed miserably. What will happen next is they'll send in the flying monkeys and little minions. That's right, incoming, by way of meddling friends, neighbors, family members, and sometimes even coworkers. People who do not have the wisdom to mind their own business. People who lack boundaries. People who are in possession, half the story, and a very distorted half at that. But they think they have all the information. People who want you to believe that they mean well by offering their unsolicited advice from a very narrow perspective. And again, a distorted perspective. And the truth is, sometimes these people are well-meaning, naive and brainwashed as they may be. But let's be honest, more often than not, if they've aligned with the narcissist and are delivering their messages like little errand boys and girls, these people are anything but well-meaning. That's the truth of it. They too have an agenda, and it likely has nothing to do with your well-being or your best interest. So beware of the flying monkeys and meddling little minions. They, by the way, are a great place to start practicing setting healthy limits and boundaries. Now, with that said, when all of these tactics fail to impress, what's next? Well, tall tales, fairy tales, and false images, my friends. Here's the thing you need to remember. Narcissistic people do not walk off into the sunset and live happily ever after with anyone. Forget what you see on social media or what you hear through the grapevine. It's all an illusion, all of it. If they didn't have it to give you, they aren't suddenly going to grow a heart and a conscience and morph into the person who has it to give someone else. And by it, I mean showing up in a relationship like a kind and decent human being with a heart and a soul, with genuine empathy and a moral compass, with healthy love to give. If they didn't have it to give you, I promise you, they aren't suddenly going to have it to give whoever is unfortunate enough to be their next source of supply. So stop hurting yourself with the notion that someone else is getting the love that you didn't. Stop torturing yourself, block the SOB, do your healing and recovery work, and start loving yourself first and more. Now, with all of that said, what you can expect next is a full-blown smear campaign. True story. If you hold the line, stand firm, and refuse to give into their hoovering tactics, the antics of the flying monkeys and the little minions, even though they know full well they've blown what is likely the best thing that has ever happened or will ever happen to them, still they will smear you. Why? Because narcissists are bitter, resentful little cowards. And no matter how appallingly they themselves have behaved, they will have to land on either the hero or the victim side of the story. And as such, they'll cast you as the big bad villain to their victim. So know this in advance and brace yourself. They really are this kind of predictable, and frankly, because it's all they've got. They can't get through to you. They can't use you, manipulate you, target you, exploit you anymore. They can't even access you because you're doing all the right things. So now all they've got left is they're going to go after your character and your reputation and any relationship you have with others that they have influence over. And they'll say whatever it takes, no matter how untrue, how cruel, how unkind, or how bizarre. No matter what it takes, they will work to assassinate and annihilate your character and, again, your reputation to anyone who will listen. And this can be very painful for those of us who have been on the receiving end of a true blue, real smear campaign, in particular in the early stages of our healing and recovery journey. It's not easy to have to endure this sort of thing, that is for sure. And this is where doing the real work of healing and recovery and having a solid support system around us can be so vitally important. We can get to the place where we're absolutely bulletproof in the face of this nonsense. But it takes some work and the right kind of support. And here's the thing. When the narcissist can no longer control you, access you, target you, manipulate you, they will work to manipulate everyone else's perception of you. They'll work to manipulate how everybody sees you, what they think of you, and how they feel about you. And I have to tell you, our job is to get to the place where we can rise above that and be absolutely non-affected. And I've walked that path in many areas of my life, not least of which with my very sick family of origin. The kind of projection these people are capable of, I've dealt with it in my professional life. I've dealt with it romantically, and I've dealt with it with so-called friends, as well as my family. When they can no longer control you, manipulate you, exploit you, affect you, siphon your vital life force energy, target you directly or indirectly, they will work overtime to smear and assassinate your character And the reality is, this is the game they'll play all day long. And it can be daunting to conceive of the fact that this is what I'm going to be on the receiving end of. But I say better that you know in advance what to expect. Expect the worst case scenario and do your own work so you're well fortified, surrounded, supported, guided, and protected. Do what you need to do to take excellent care of yourself and protect yourself. In doing so, you'll be less likely to be taken out by whatever it is that the narcissist has to say, no matter who believes the nonsense and insanity. And last but not least, when the narcissist realizes what they've lost and that you aren't coming back for more, know in advance that they will seek revenge. Somehow, some way, they'll try to find a way. If you've unfortunately put yourself in a position where these folks have any leverage or power over you in any way whatsoever, other than just being able to verbally assassinate your character and attempt to smear your reputation to whomever will listen, if they have any power or leverage over you at all, again, if you have put yourself in the unfortunate position where they can actually come after you in any way in an attempt to seek revenge, when they realize that they can't get through to you in any other way, chances are good that they will look for opportunities to get even. I mean, how dare you draw a line in the sand and say no more, right? No more abuse, no more bullying, no more lying, no more projecting, no more blame shifting, no more dirty little secrets, no more dirty big secrets, no more insults, no more criticism, no more deception, manipulation, or triangulation. How dare you say no more to all the pain and crazy-making insanity that they bring to the table? So, if they have the opportunity and they know that they can't get anywhere with regards to breaking through that barrier of no contact that you've firmly established and aren't going back on, it's game over, we're done. If they can seek revenge, know up front that they're going to do that. And your job is to do whatever you need to do to take away any leverage that they might have, to take away any power they might have, and protect yourself and anyone else in your care from their attempts to seek revenge. And do it in advance. Get ahead of them if possible, and stay there. In the end, you'll be so glad you did. And on that note, I'm going to call it a wrap. But before I go, you should know that the Ascension class is open for enrollment. Now, this is for you if you're ready and able to invest in yourself, you're ready to shift your identity, master the law of attraction, heal your relationship with money, and put a full stop end to the limiting beliefs and self-sabotaging behaviors that are holding you back and preventing you from living your best life. If you're ready to reinvent yourself from the inside out, create your dream life by design, and finally become the you were always meant to be, click on the link in the description below this video to apply to see if you qualify for a free one-on-one consultation with either myself or a member of my team.